Functions of devices. So I can ask you, what is the function of this or of that, this thing, or of that, or of this? So let's get started, right? So first of all, let's start with this, the function. The word function means job. So what is the job of this thing? And there's a specific word for each of these that you have to know. The job of this is to give electricity to the circuit, right? So is a battery. The proper word for that, it is a power source, okay? Now in the lab, you've also used this guy. This is essentially the same thing as a battery. It just lets me adjust how much voltage I want to provide to the circuit, okay? So I'm gonna put these over here, and hopefully you can see that, okay? There's my power source. Two power sources. Another type of power source would be a wall outlet, right? Where you plug in to the wall. Okay, next function. Well, you need some wires coming out of that thing, right? So here's a wire. The job, the function of this wire is to carry the electricity. The proper word for that is, it is a conductor. It conducts the electricity from one place to another, and we know that metals are good conductors, so the wires always have metal inside. The most common conductor, the most common wire we use in our houses is copper. It's the same color as the old pennies. It's kind of brownish. Conductor. Okay, now pretty much every circuit also has, well, every circuit has something that's using the energy to do a job, right? So you might have in your room a light so here's a light bulb. Here I might have something that turns on a motor, maybe to pump water or to do something else. In the lab, you've probably used these guys. These are resistors. Basically, as the electricity goes through, this thing heats up. Now, in science, we would say these are energy transformation devices. Okay, we'll put them over here because that's what they do. They transform electrical energy into something else. This transforms electrical into thermal energy. The motor transforms electrical energy into movement because this is turns. So that's electrical to kinetic energy, movement energy. This transforms electrical energy into light and heat. The one we really want is light. So this is an energy transformation device, transforms energy from electricity to light. All of these will produce heat. Every system produces heat, and sometimes we don't want that, right? So that would be wasted energy. And we study that in the topic of energy efficiency. So there you go. Those are energy transformation devices. Next, pretty much every circuit also has a switch of some sort. So in your bedroom, you have a switch on a wall to turn on the light. In the lab, you may have used this. This kind of looks like a drawbridge, and it works the same way. I'll have a wire hooked up here and another wire hooked up here. And when this is down, it's connected and electricity can go through. This is a lever switch. You may also see this type of switch. This is a push button switch. It means when I push, it turns on. It actually lets the electricity go through this metal arm, and then when it's touching, it goes through and out through that wire there. So these are two switches. What is the function of a switch? It is to control the circuit. Okay, these are control devices because it controls the circuit. It turns it on and off. Another one. Now, this is called a fuse. It has a thin wire going through it, and the job of this thing is we will put it in the circuit, and if too much electricity goes through, this wire is thin enough that it will allow just the right amount of electricity to go through, but if too much goes through, it'll heat up and melt and break. Okay, so this wire in the middle is actually a perfect thickness for the circuit you're using, and you can get these in different thicknesses. So a thicker one will let a lot of electricity go through, a thin one will only let a little bit. And it's made so that it lets the right amount, and when you get too much, it melts and it'll break the circuit. This is a fuse, okay? So its job is to protect your circuit, protection device. That's its function. In your house, you have electrical breakers, which are switches, or fuses, and they look, if it's an older house, you'll see these glass round things. I don't have any here, but in your house somewhere you will have a metal electrical panel. It's usually gray, and if you open the door, you'll see a whole bunch of switches, or you'll see some glass circles. The glass circles are fuses, just like this guy. The switches, the breakers, do the same job, but it's a more modern system where if somebody turns on too many lights and too many microwaves and things, the switch will pop. You may notice the lights go out in your house, and the protection device has done its job. It did a good thing there. It stopped too much electricity from going through and melting the wires in your house and possibly starting a fire. So these are the main functions. We also will usually have a voltmeter or ammeter. This does both, voltmeter and ammeter, and it's for measuring. So your functions for each job are power source, conductor, energy transformation for whatever's using the energy, protection device, which protects the circuit, and control, which is the switch. Okay? Hope you got it. Okay, so let's review. And while I'm doing this, see if you can come up with the names on your own. Okay, so first of all, a battery. What function does a battery have? Yes, it's a power source. Okay, because it provides the energy, it provides the power. How do you draw that symbol? It is two lines separated with a space and then a wire coming out of each side. Now you have to know which side is the positive side. I can give you a drawing and ask you which one's positive. The long line is always the positive side of the power source. Okay, switch. What is the function of a switch? Well, it controls the circuit, so control. What is the symbol? Well, that's actually not that bad. There's two types. There's that lever type, which means it's like a drawbridge, or you have the push button, which means you have two wires that have a gap, and then you have this thing that if it gets pushed down, connects them. That's push button, lever. A wire. A wire, the function of a wire is a conductor. And usually it's just a line, right, for a wire. Light bulb, all of these, their function is energy transformation. What are the symbols? For a light bulb, it's kind of like an M with squiggly line. A motor, the symbol is, that's easy, an M in a circle. A resistor is that thing that transforms energy to thermal energy, to heat, and it's a squiggly. And a heater is kind of like this, but instead of being squiggly, zigzag, it's more of a square shape going up and down. Okay? A fuse, what is the job, what is the function of a fuse? It is to protect the rest of the circuit from too much electricity. So its job is protection. Okay? And the symbol for a fuse is a sideways S shape. And lastly, we have that ammeter and voltmeter, which we use to measure things. Measurement. And depending on what you're measuring, the symbol is an A in a circle to measure current in amperes, or a V in a circle. And remember, voltage, if you don't know this yet, we will go through it. Voltage is always measured in parallel. So the voltmeter always has these two arms. Okay, so I hope that helps. Study a lot.